Yeah, it's me. I'm going to rock up. I'm going to a little piece of that tune. I listen to that tune from yesterday in the middle of the day. That tune just. And the evening people show you watch, you know, the prayer watch the evening people show you have to have a nice vibes, you know? A cool vibes, you know? Yeah, man. Watch them silent. Watch them silent. Maybe yes.
I keep it happy and I do what keep me happy and nobody can deny me that I'm
Nobody
blessed.
can deny me that I'm blessed. You understand? Watch it.
I'm happy around the edges, baby, yes. I keep it happy and I
Yo,
do
me
what
want to play the whole
keep
tune. Me want to play the whole tune still. But I give that little piece out. Watch out. Go Molly, say this.
self-preservation, self-elevation. These kind of these made serve celebration. No hesitation, no reservation. Go for the
All right. Okay, stop it. Yo, Wagwan peoples, welcome to the Evening People Show. I am your host, Martin Matthews, and it's always a pleasure. My Wi-Fi look like it'll give me trouble today, but we soon get caught up. It's always a pleasure. If this is your first time joining the show, welcome. Welcome to the Evening People Show. On here, we talk about everything. We talk to new friends, we talk to old friends, we talk to professionals, we talk to people that are aspiring professionals, we talk to veterans, we talk to up-and-comers, we talk to somebody that has something to share to someone else that they can potentially benefit from, and that's what we do here. Welcome to the show. At some point during the show, we typically read some poetry. It's usually about, poetry usually comes from my book, which is plastered back there, called Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man. It is a book of poetry available in Fontana Pharmacy and Amazon.com. Now, my guest tonight is somebody I'm really anxious to talk to because I like his perspective. Every time we've had the occasion to speak to each other, his perspective is always refreshing. It's always fresh, as them say back at the time, right? He is the current principal of Brownstone, and he's a man of many talents. He was a coach, and he has held several posts on his way to where he is now. The way I'm going to approach the show tonight, if you guys have been tuning into the other shows, the way I'm going to approach the show tonight is slightly different because I want to pick my guest's brain a different way from how I usually address the other professionals. But anyway, enough chit-chatting around. Without further ado, I'm going to invite my guest tonight, Mr. Thomas himself. Sir Thomas.
Good night to you. Good night to everybody joined. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for coming, for allowing me to share my story.
Yes,
and for us to chat, have a lime as we normally do when we're at Michael.
You see, now here's the difference now. There's several people I have on the show that right up until we go live, I'm having to talk them off the ledge. They're nervous, they're erect, and I'm like, no, just relax. It's just us. We're just having a conversation. You know what I mean?
Oh,
we have some people checking in. Yeah, we just live in, just like all times when I went under the mango tree before
Back in the
Milzal
days,
or
right at the right at the lazy bench before cafeteria.
there you go.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
regular lime.
Yes, man. It goes so, man. It goes so. All right. What else we have check in already? Ricardo check in. All right. Looking forward, Alfred. All right, but let's get right into it then. No? I want to say this though. I have a confession to make. As a person who spent quite a bit of time in the principal's office coming up through high school, right now I feel like I'm two steps away from detention right now. You know what I mean?
No, you see, there's a misconception that when you go to the principal's office, it has to be for something negative. But I mean, you can be in the principal office and you just hold a reason because from time to time I've had to do that. So you just
Okay.
hold a reason with a youngster, um, find out what they're about. I mean, find out what are the issues and I mean guide them on the proper path. So it's not
Okay.
necessarily negative. You don't only have a student there or a child there when it is that you're gonna punish, but I
Okay.
mean it can be as a means of upliftment.
And you know
Traditionally,
what?
once you're called to the principal office door, you know, say it's highly
Yeah.
possible that it's something negative, but
Yes.
I mean, it can be positive.
All right. Then
So this
that's
doc,
good to know. If I have it to
so
do all over
we're
again.
in the principal's office for a positive reason this evening.
Okay, you know what? I feel better already. I feel better already. Shelly and Blackwood checked in. Said she's the best in Nasha Richards is in the building as well. Best of
Big up
myself.
Nashi, big up Nashi.
Yes, Mr. Coat, big up yourself. See you away. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So, all right, I'm gonna ask you something off the wall real quick still because when I was in high school, there was a guy who was found with some. I won't say exactly what he was found, but he was found with some contraband, right? And they found it in the what had happened the morning was they were supposed to have devotions in one location, but because it rained, they had devotions in another location, and it blew up his plan because he had stashed his product there.
His stash.
They found the stash, brought it to the principal's office, and after devotion, he walked into the principal's office and said, "Well, boss, I don't really know how this going to go, you know, but I need my stash back. I'm gonna need my stash back." Right? Now, what is the most, I would say, off the wall scenario similar to that you've ever had to deal with as a principal?
I had an incident with a young man. He had a knife and he actually ran down another student, another boy, to attack him. The boy actually fell on the ground and he was over him
Wow.
and about to create damage and somebody pulled him off. When I got him in the office, I mean, I had several eyewitnesses who said that yeah, he had a knife. And the young man, as you know, as people would say, him take God off of the cross, say he never had a
He never
knife.
have a life. Wow.
It was just an argument. They were knocking fists. There was no weapon. And I gave him chances upon chances. I sit him down. I try to reason with him. I say, yo, I mean, everybody, you have different people who, sir, bring them here. Let them talk in front of me and whatever.
Wow.
And I mean, I wouldn't want to take that chance because you know, you don't want to expose your witnesses like
True,
that.
true. Yeah, true.
So so fortunately we had cameras. So I went through the camera, sat down, watched the replay. We had some good cameras because we had recently upgraded the cameras, and I zoomed in. I saw something shiny when I was watching it. And I zoomed in and I realized the knife was, I saw the knife. So I blew it up, expanded it, and then took a picture of it. So I said for him, and I had it on the TV, the screen in my office, with him with the knife in his hand.
Right.
And as he walked in, he looked and saw it and said, sir, you know, somebody didn't want to tell you, say me have the knife still and whatever. I said, oh, all of a sudden you're willing to confess. Yeah, we've had some cases where I mean, as my mother would say, them take God off the cross, say it wasn't me. They turned shaggy. It wasn't me,
It wasn't
it
me.
wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
And unless you have solid evidence, then I mean
Them
you
not
have,
change them story. Them not change them story.
yeah,
All right,
man.
but that's
Not
good
change the
because
story.
that brings me to the next point here now. we're talking. I'm piggybacking off the whole boys and how boys are sometimes. Now, you have your diploma, your first diploma from Michael Teachers College, in industrial arts, right? Now, how was it coming up through high school, specializing in industrial arts? And I asked that question because for me,
Stigma?
coming
Stigma?
up, exactly. For me, coming up, the part of the high school where the industrial was called the dungeon. It looked like a dungeon. The lighting down there was like a dungeon. But here you are now, having made that step, reap the benefits of that step. How was it coming up through high school, specializing in industrial arts, going into college, specializing in industrial arts? How was that?
You're right. The stigma was there. Right throughout, the stigma was there. But for me, I just, everything in me, I had to do industrial arts, something in industrial arts, because I wanted to be an engineer.
Right.
So industrial arts was my field. When I ended grade 9, and we know that we would have selected our subject, so we knew where we were heading for grade 10. I knew that I was heading in the technical era.
Right.
So I mean, I remember that last day when I did my final set of exams for grade 9. I dumped my Spanish, my literature, and my history writing books. I threw them in the garbage bin because I knew I would not be looking back at those books any at all, because I was zoomed in and focused on industrial arts.
Right.
And yes, as you rightly said, I mean, I went to Ferncourt, and back then we were in 10 agritech and 11 agritech. And then for those who went to Ferncourt and knew about, the agritechs were seen as the Duns group. So that was the group that had the footballers where give trouble and the athletes where give trouble. And if they want to repeat a child, normally that is where they go. And if they're not so bright, they would be placed there.
Right.
So I mean, but fortunately for us, we had a form teacher who was with us for grade 10 and grade 11. And I'm indebted to him. A lot of us who were in that group are indebted to him. Mr. Glazley Anstein from Ferncourt. One of your friends too from college, Kevin Lug. Kevin Lug was my classmate from high school. Yeah, man. So Lug and I were all in the same class. So Mr. Anstein told us that, listen, I mean, this is the field that you want to be. Don't business with what anybody else want to say about it. I mean, you do you. If you want to do whatever, then you do it. It doesn't matter. I mean, shut out the negative energies around you. And those things stayed with us. And even at Michael, I mean, we had the same stigma when we were at Michael. We were seen as the less than because we did industrial arts. Right. Though we were qualified, we matriculated into teachers' college. We were seen as the ones who always making noise. I mean, I remember a situation where one day we were, as we normally do, sitting under the tree at the lazy bench in front of the cafeteria. And we were there giving trouble as we normally do, being loud as we normally are. And I remember a young lady who was in the guidance program. And I mean, if you remember Michael and people who did guidance, I don't think I need to go any further. But,
yeah, man, they think they're nice, rude boy. Me say.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So I remember, I think I said something to one of them, and she basically wrote me and said, you guys waste of time. I don't know what you're doing in the college and how to end up here and whatever. And I remember my exact words, see you on graduation day.
Yep.
Yeah, man. See you on graduation day. Because the thing is, while we normally sat there under the bench and we ended up going to class late, and we were normally late or right at the end in submitting or assignments and stuff.
Assignment, SBA.
Yeah, man. They are normally completed.
They're normally
You understand?
complete.
And you know that when we're at Michael, when I ramp for run, we matter shop in the nights. We beat till hours, and then we went and we played gym ball and throw up a mind, and then come back and we studied again. So even though you did not see the work in the day, the night we actually put in the time. And so I mean, we went above that. I remember when at graduation, I mean, when we looked and we looked at the program, some of us were smiling because I didn't know that the guys would remember that young lady, and we all got credit and she got a pass. So one of them said, look at us now.
Look at us now, eh? Yeah. So, you know what? That's go. Wait, before you get it, I want to highlight Sheldon Bread Barrett has checked in. Bread, I remember which state today, probably like Oklahoma or something like that. We have New York in the building with Kadia Boja checked in as well. So we're global right now. Now, in that same breath, though, I wanna throw you a curveball a little bit. You've held several roles in education. It's fair to say that you have an intimate knowledge of the workings of the system. Now, it has been said that the way we teach, the methodologies that we employ, just like you're saying there, the methodologies are geared towards how girls learn. It's more conducive to how females learn versus how boys learn. What are your views or outlook based, from your years of experience? Is that a fair statement? Is that what you're seeing?
Traditionally, yes. Because if I go back to when I was starting high school, we got a lot of notes. We had to do a lot of writing and notes. We got a lot of heavy content to read. And if you know the genetic makeup of boys, we're active. We want to see things. We want to be physical.
Yes, touch and
Males
feel.
are physical beings. Yes. So we want to be active, and so even if it is, let's say, a subject that involves a lot of reading content, let's say a history or a literature. For the males, you want them to be active, so let them act out something, let them DJ something. But
Right.
so traditionally, it is true. But what I find now is that it actually is evolving with what is being taught now, because there's a lot of emphasis now on boys' education and how you teach boys and all of that.
It's
So there's a
necessary.
lot of effort and emphasis being put in that now. And so you find that a lot of the persons who have recently studied, they would be well off in how to teach boys, how to basically have their lessons be all inclusive. So
It's necessary.
catering for the different styles of the learner. So they do things to actually get the boys involved. And you find out that the teachers who actually have engaging classes where they would sit down and actually hold a reason with them or with the
Right.
students in the class,
Right.
those teachers are actually the ones who have less issues with the students, especially the
It has
boys.
to be. Has to. No
But
doubt about it.
when you are very formal and you are straight and you don't give them any opportunity to be themselves and whatever, you are going to have problems, because it's one thing that you can't do is that you can't put a male in a box. You're gonna have problems.
Right. Right.
You're gonna have problems. So once you give them the opportunity to express themselves, they must have their boundaries. However,
Right.
they must have their boundaries. But once you give them the opportunity to express themselves,
You
and
get a better
you
end
ensure,
result.
yeah, man, you get a better end result. And I mean that's the best way to teach regardless of who the gender is, whether boys or girls, because there are some girls now who are actually tactile too.
True.
So it's best to look at the methodologies that are all inclusive and cater to the needs of your students, rather than focusing on, I'm going to teach boys this specific way, or I'm going to teach girls this specific way. Know your students, know their likes and dislikes, and then teach based on that. Ensure that you employ methods that your students like, that they'll be engaging to your students.
Now I want to look at Shailen's comment here. And she's saying the methodologies are changing, but she finds that there is not enough examples of male teachers for our boys to model or engage with. Now, the question I want to pose to you is, like, half of my friends are my teachers, half of my friends are
Yeah.
in education system. Now, and I remember one of them saying that he's not really the one that the boys them want to emulate per se. You know what I mean? He has a little car and carry himself professionally the best he can, you know what I mean, based on the budget. But the boys really want flashy things. They want to emulate somebody that look like they have more means. What do you say to that?
Methods critical. I mean, you can't look to say, all right, based on what is happening and what these young men are exposed to. I mean, you can't expect to just change their minds based on the material things. You have to just try and meet them mentally. So I spoke about it earlier. Having a reason with a youth. So you're in the school and you're willing to go and sit down under a tree and when they might eat lunch and chat with them. I mean, don't standard English. Just sit down and have a reason.
Right.
I mean, give them the opportunity to free up themselves and to be themselves.
Right.
Again, they must have boundaries. But you sit down and you reason with them. And once that is done, even if I walk, yeah, walk, they will emulate and they will see some principles that you are using, and they'll want to emulate you. You will then have to guide them and say, listen, man, you have to work hard to get these things and whatever. Don't watch the fact that a youth out the road don't necessarily concentrate on education, but still them driving a bigger vehicle than what you as a teacher is driving. So it's you have to guide them. If you focus and try to zoom in on the material part of it, I mean, you're not going to win them over. You have to have them understand that, listen, you understand them, you know them, you're willing to reason with them, you're willing to, as we say, go down to their level, and for them to see you as a father figure, because a lot of them don't have the father. So when they realize that you genuinely have their best interest at heart, I mean, that will happen. I mean, I remember years ago when I coached, I was hard on the young men that I coached. That was very hard. I mean, sometimes we sit and we chat, you know, in our groups or on Facebook. I'll see a string of comments and I'll join some of the comments. And I mean, some of the things that they say I used to tell them and I used to do, especially when I'm coaching, I can't believe I actually did that. But they have said to me that, coach, we thank you for doing it because you made us into better men. And you showed us that, listen, it's not going to be an easy road. So you're not going to give, you never gave us any shortcuts and whatever. You pressured us to be our best versions of ourselves. So once you do that, they may hate you, no, but in the long run, they're going to thank you, especially when they grow up and realize that a lot of the principles that you taught them, these are the principles that they're using in their lives now, and they're helping them. So, and it's a joy when you have some of those young men telling you that, yo, respect, coach, respect for what you did for me then, because you made me a better man. Yeah, man. It's much more than the salary that you would normally get. Trust me.
Yeah.
That we know the salary is small already.
Yeah. But changing life is where the big bucks is at, really. Now, you're a veteran teacher, over 20 years of experience. You've played several roles. You're a block supervisor, grade coordinator, vice principal at Teachfield. I think you were acting principal for some places before you actually landed the role you have now. Now, what drives you? What is it that always wants you to go? You've been back to school. You know, you've got other accreditations. What is that thing that keeps you going?
It's to ensure. Well, my mantra is build on your own dreams, or someone will hire you to build theirs. So you have to have your goals. So you have to set out your goals. You have to know what you want. And then once you know what you want, you know what you need to do to accomplish it.
Right.
And so as it relates to the different posts, I mean, I normally say when I go to work, I go to work. So for the hours that I'm at work. So I'm a professional, and so I do what I need to do. And at times I go beyond the call of duty, and I don't whine and I don't complain if it is that I'm called on to do some additional tasks, because I'm at work and I'm going to be paid at the end of the month. I'm not going to complain at the end of the month when my salary is in my account. So I go to work and I do what I have to do. And fortunately, over the years, because of me doing my job and doing my job well, other persons would have assumed that I did my job well. I would have been promoted. So less than 10 years of teaching, I was vice principal. And it's not, I don't think I did anything extraordinary. I just did my job. And I think in the eyes of others, I did my job well. But it's just being you, it's just understanding what you're about. Also ensuring, I mean, as a young person going into any profession, any responsibility, any task, you try to align yourself with more experienced persons. And you're selective of who you align yourself with, so that you can learn from them and they can mold you. And I think I've always done that. I mean, when I started at Brownstown High teaching, that was my first teaching job. And I actually aligned myself with some senior teachers there who actually kept me grounded, kept me leveled, and ensured that we did the right thing and did what we were supposed to do. And I think that excellent foundation that I got there, under the tutelage of those senior teachers, I think it helped me right through it. So those skills that I got, and I just build from them. Another thing too, you have to be able to understand your weaknesses and accept criticisms.
Yeah.
A lot of us, our egos are too big. So I mean, once somebody questions what we're doing and once somebody criticizes what we're doing, we take it personal. I mean, we're imperfect, so there are going to be persons who are going to have a problem with what you're doing.
Yep.
I mean, listen to it, learn from it, pick sense out of nonsense, as my mother would normally say.
Right.
And improve on yourself. I think a critical thing also is being is that networking. I mean, I'm always chatting. I'm always trying to know people, especially persons who can assist me. Because I remember doing a course and I was told by we were told by the presenter, network or die, network or suffer.
That's one way to do it, right?
Yeah, man, network or suffer, because I mean, especially in a leadership position, you have to ensure that you have proper networking. So, I mean, in the event you have an issue, you can call a colleague and say, listen, I mean, how is it that, how you dealt with this or whatever. So networking is critical.
Right.
And I think another thing too, that I think would have assisted is my being myself. I mean, I'm who I am. I'm not trying to change for anybody. I am and I've always been confident. I'm not afraid to, I don't back down from challenges easily. I am outspoken. I say what I have to say, but I'll say it respectfully. You can never see, even if you say that I speak my mind, you can never say that I'm disrespectful to you.
Right.
But I say what I need to say. So I mean, and then I think I said it before, but a critical thing too is to watch who you associate yourself with.
Right. I think that's like that.
Yeah, my mother always tell me, show me a company and I tell you who you are.
You are. Yep.
I mean, who you are around, who you associate yourself with can determine your altitude. It can determine whether or not you remain stagnant, or it can determine whether or not you improve and you rise. So I mean, I think those are the traits that I would have employed, and it has worked. I think it has worked so far.
I think it has worked. I think that now you've been the principal of Brownstown High since 2016. What has been your most noticeable accomplishment personally as well as professionally?
I think there would have been a few. I think for first of all is for the school, it is changing the stigma of the institution. I remember when I was going there, when I accepted the post, I didn't tell some of my family members, even though they were past students. I remember my sister telling me, "Why are you going to Little Iraq? Why are you going?" A family friend said, "Really, Freddie, why you going there? So of all the schools, why?" Well, I did, and so the perception that persons have of the school, it changed, and it changed by us employing different methods. I mean, of how we deal with the students. I mean, it's amazing when you treat students like human beings. The results that you get, and when you realize that you genuinely care for them.
I want to stick up in here. That's a genuine legitimate accomplishment, because stereotypes, when you have pretty much everybody have a certain opinion of a particular thing to the point where it becomes a stereotype. So the minute the name is mentioned, everybody automatically think a particular thing. And if you can go into a situation and change a stereotype, you have made a significant accomplishment.
But to be honest, one of the reasons I knew I could take on the job was because the school that I was coming from, Robert Lightburn High, I mean, when you talk about stigma, I heard, when I went there, I heard that there was a child one year who heard that she was placed there. And she immediately fainted and had to spend a couple of days in the hospital.
Oh my God.
I mean, nobody wanted to go there. So we went there, and again, the same thing. You treated persons, the staff were treated like adults. I mean, you listen to them, you shared your concern, you work with them, you were on the front line with them. And so it worked, and we built the numbers in the school, and the perception changed just by doing several little things. Things were improved. So the base was actually set from Robert Lightburn. Brownstone High basically was a bigger version of Robert Lightburn.
Okay.
And so I had already garnered some skills there. So I built on them. And then because I wasn't starting from the ground up at Brownstone High, because I taught there, so I knew a lot of the staff members. And so it was easy to work with them. I had an excellent board, persons who were supportive and supportive of the initiative and wanted to see the change and wanted to see the change in the approach.
Were any of the
staff was
mentors still there?
Say it again?
You mentioned mentors from that institution when you started out teaching. Were any of them still there when you went back as principal?
No. The ironic thing is that I think 3 of the 4 of them eventually went and became principals.
Okay, that's that.
So they weren't there. But
Okay,
I had a person
good.
that I had an individual on the school board, Mr. Jasper Lawrence, who was a former chief education officer. He's a mentor to a lot of persons. A lot of persons who know that name would know that. I mean, he's a wealth of information, and he actually sat me down and he gave me some advice. I remember one of the days somebody said, boy, Sir T, you have a big shoe to fill. And I remember Mr. Lawrence was there. Mr. Lawrence said, no, you don't have any shoe to fill. You have your own footprints to make. So go there and make your own footprints. Don't try to fill anybody else's boot. You are different. You will come with a different approach, and that is what we want. And so it worked. So we changed the stigma. Though it's not where we want it to be, it's definitely not where it was. We have students transferring from traditional high school in St. Ann coming to us now.
Wow.
Each year I'm seen as one of the wickedest persons in St. Ann because we're on shift. I'm saying that we cannot accept students because we're already overpopulated. So we're happy with the progress. The staff has done a tremendous job, even though at the start they were skeptical with some of the plans. They didn't think it could work. They actually
No, you always gonna have people who don't want change. You always gonna have people that don't want.
But trust me, Martin, the changes that were made, it was Alfred Thomas leading, but I have to give kudos to my staff for the work that they put in. Because they supported. Some of the times I come up with some crazy ideas, and I mean, they actually bought into it, and they actually work. Academically, I think a major success was improving the NEI report from unsatisfactory in 2015 to satisfactory when they did the inspection last year. And again, we did a lot of work as staff. We put in the work. We saw the recommendations from NEI. We worked on them.
I just learned what that meant on my last show, by the way. I just learned what that NEI meant on my last show with
the National Educational Inspectorate. So they are the ones who basically, based on their indicators, they go out and they inspect the school, and they basically give you a rating based on where you are. Right. But again, the staff did a tremendous job. I mean, on the day, I mean, they were stars. So I mean, it's good as a leader. You can't lead unless you have a good team. Even your success is dependent on the quality of your team. Absolutely. And whether or not your team is behind you. And if they're not, trust me, you're going dead.
You have a problem.
If your team is not with you, you're gonna have a problem. So I think those two are the major two. The NEI report, the improvement in the NEI ranking, and the change in the stigma.
Yeah, those are excellent. Those are excellent. Now, I'm gonna have to press the pet gas pedal a little bit here. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic reaches 1-year anniversary a few weeks ago. As a principal for our institution, walk me through how it is, or how it became, or what changed with educating children through a pandemic. How it was, a year ago versus now. What was put in place? What kind of support you got, and just how we're managing to still make it work a year later.
Martin, it has been the hardest year of my career.
Can't imagine.
It has been the most difficult, and for many teachers, it has been the hardest year of their teaching. It's the first since I've been in education and I've heard the same thing from my staff, that they actually look forward and to Friday coming, or they look forward to a holiday period coming, because it's a lot of work. Because the transition to virtual, because we were not ready for it, and that's the thing. We were not ready. There were a few schools who actually had put things in the pipeline, and especially because CXC had started to do this thing about having online assessments. So there were schools who were forward thinking, and colleagues who were forward thinking and started doing a lot of preparation where that is concerned. We were not, based on our infrastructure and our the resources that we had, we were not anywhere there yet. So we were not ready for transitioning fully online. So it was difficult at the start, but I mean, again, the importance of the team and the persons buying into it. We started from early. We planned. I can tell you before March, I think it's 12th. Most of my staff, about 99% of my staff members, did not know about Zoom, Schoology, Google Classroom. Didn't know. Well, I didn't know either. I just went to a workshop, like the Friday before. The school was closed on the Thursday. The Friday I went to a workshop, and a colleague of mine introduced me to Schoology. And so when I left the workshop, I had planned a meeting at 1 o'clock. And during that workshop, I started to go through and to figure out Schoology and to look on Zoom. And I went there, presented what I knew to my staff, and I looked like a star. Pity they didn't know that I just learned the thing. And we all started. And by the Monday, persons bought into it and they started to do something on Zoom and Schoology. Yeah, man. Everybody started to experiment and tried something, and then people would post in our WhatsApp group that, hey, this can work. I tried this and it can work. And we had persons showing each other. And I mean, we had persons who were afraid of teachers who were afraid of using the computer.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Afraid of it. And I mean, these persons are teaching other persons. No. So yes, it was difficult. I mean, a lot of the students, 50 to 60% of our students are on path. That says a lot.
Okay.
So that at least can tell you their socioeconomic background.
Right.
So them having access to tablets, to laptops, to data. Because so initially we stated from the onset that, listen, we had to help the students. And so we started to prepare handouts for the students who could not connect online.
Right.
So we started that from very early. And I'm happy that we have done that consistently. I think up to February, we had 19, I think it's 20 drop-off points in St. Anne and Trelawney, where we actually had post offices and police stations and corner shops in the community, where we prepare work and we take it there for the students to do, those who did not have access to the device. So we had to do that.
How many kids would you say are still getting? Now, mind you, I've had other principals on the show. I've heard staggering numbers in both directions. Now, what percentage of kids would you say have been active the entire time? What percentage of kids have you not heard of since last March? What does that look like?
I would think, honestly, between 20 to 25% of them.
You have not heard
from any at all.
Okay.
No, we have not seen connected. We have not seen accepting any work online. We have contacted the parents. The guidance counselors have been working. I mean, calling parents. We've called in when we check on the Google Classroom, and we realize the students who have not accessed, lists are issued to the guidance counselors and they call. But I mean, some of the parents themselves are trying to get a grasp of this thing, so they themselves can't offer the assistance that they should, because they didn't have to worry about.
No, what amount of kids? I'm sorry, Alfred. What amount of kids does that 20% represent numerically?
For our and this is what we have not heard from any at all. About a 20%. We're talking about 250 students.
Wow.
Because our population is little under 1,700.
I spoke to Frederick Latry, and you know Latry as well. From Lennon, Clarendon, and when they went out, they had a drive to go out into the communities to try to find the kids, because their number was quite a bit higher than your number, and it was earlier on in the process. And they found, he said they found all kinds of things, bro. They found stuff that would make your eye water. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
man. It's very serious. Very, very, very serious. As I said, fortunately, we have 4 guidance counselors. So we have them where we can spread a guidance counselor per grade level. And so they have been making the calls, and the number is actually there, and it's actually reducing because of the work from the guidance counselors making contact, and also the fact that we have been getting assistance from various persons, so that we can make devices available to students. So that has actually ensured that more students actually come on board. But it's still, and even though I said those that percentage of those who have not heard from, some of them, the numbers that we have on file, when we call them, they're not working. When we go to the address, we are told that, oh, the student has gone into a different parish, because a lot of that has taken place, where the students have migrated to another parish to stay with somebody else. We found that a lot of that has taken place. So but so even though we've had, let's say, the 80%, that 80% is never consistent. So when we look at our daily attendance, we're looking at between 50 to 60%.
Right.
And that 50 to 60% doesn't even mean that we have 50 to 60% students attending classes. Because what we find is that there are students who are coming on, marking their names, but they are not attending the classes. So again, it gives us a lot more work, because we now have to go and find those students. So which is why I said it's a lot of work for the teachers. So think about the fact that you have to plan your online lesson for the students who are going to join you online.
Right.
You then have to prepare work for the students who you're going to do drop off, which is a different type of work. Because I mean, while online you can give them a video, and then you can say, all right, go watch the video. After 15 minutes, we come, we explain, and whatever. You can't do that for those students who are offline. So you then have to prepare content, then you have to prepare assessment for those students. So essentially, you're teaching 2 different lessons. And then now you find that there are students who are not attending. So you then now have to go and find out what is happening with these students, and go and get these students. So,
Sir, maybe the teacher advocate. Who we talked about the extra paycheck where we have to get for the triple work? Yeah. How we gonna talk about that?
Boy, Martin, that is another story. Because would have already heard the sounds now that based on what is happening, there may not be an increase. But the reality is we do what we have to do. And we are fortunate. We leave that part of it, the lobbying as it relates to whatever salary increases, to the JTA to negotiate with the ministry, to see what can happen there. That is for our teachers union to work on. We have to do what we have to do on the ground. But it's trust me, it's a lot of work. And I have to always reinforce this, because there's this misconception out there that students not in school, so teachers not doing any work, and it's one of the biggest rubbish I've heard. Trust me, it is twice the work that teachers now have to do.
I know for a fact. Yes, I do know. But you're right. A lot of people out there think it's a joke thing, like teachers just sit on a yard and do nothing, and they don't understand.
Yeah, man. So every time I get the opportunity, I have to explain fully what exactly that persons have to be doing now.
Tell them. And it's necessary, especially the teachers that actually care and are passionate about the kids and actually want these children to learn. They'll go on above and beyond. But what folks are not truly appreciating is the amount of extra effort that goes into it, the amount of man hours that it is now taking for this to happen. Like I literally visited friends both here and in Jamaica, and see them after hours. When me I say, come, we go find something to do before the curfew or whatever, and they can't come. Them sit down in front of the laptop, which is where they were when I woke up in the morning, and that's it. Them now gonna they're working literally from sun up till sundown, rinse and repeat.
Martin, I'm in the PTA WhatsApp groups. I have to close the WhatsApp groups, and I know some of my parents are online now, and some of my and they know. I mean, sometimes from you get up at 6 o'clock. You're on the ball, you're on the phone, you're doing this, you're doing that. And then things change so rapidly. So you were on a trajectory to do X.
Right.
And then, so like we were having face-to-face for our grade 11s. Everything was going good. We were on a drive to ensure that the SBAs are sorted out. And that was the focus of our grade 11 students coming in. Get these SBAs, get these practicals, get these labs sorted out. We had our plans. We were doing what we were doing. And then, bam, the announcement came. As of Monday, full virtual. Now we have to go back to the drawing board. What are we going to do? CXC deadline for submission of SBA hasn't changed, but the students still haven't completed the SBA. How are we going to do this? So again, the brain has to go into overdrive. The popular word is pivoting. And I mean, I know some of my colleagues are having swollen ankles now. The amount of times we have to pivot, the ankles get swollen. You used to play basketball, so you understand. Yes. When you have to pivot, you have to change direction suddenly. Yeah, man, the ankles get swollen. I have known some teachers and some principals who, because of the constant pivoting, you know, you pivot and you drop because the ankle give way.
Yep.
And that is something that I think is critical, because a lot of persons are actually giving in because mentally it is tough, because a lot of persons are internalizing what is happening. I mean, you have teachers who are choosing between, or are sacrificing the time that they need to spend with their kids for preparation of classes.
Right. For other kids.
And so
other people's kids.
For other kids, and their kids are neglected. I remember a teacher breaking down before me that, sir, I think I'm failing my child. Because I'm so concentrated on teaching other people's kids. My child is in grade 1, and a grade 1 child need their parent there to guide them.
Right.
I have to choose between teaching my child and guiding my child and teaching other person's kids. I mean, I know it is in my household. See, my wife just put guilty there.
Are your wife that? I never know.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it's something that we see, we know. But it rough. It's a choice that you have to make, and in trying to strike the balance, it is taxing mentally. And I think that is something that I think a lot of us have to do. I remember doing an NCEL course last year, and one of the topic areas, one of the things that we did was it states Maslow over Bloom.
Okay.
And especially in this time, Maslow over Bloom. If you remember from psychology, Martin, remember from those days, what was it? First year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. If you remember the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
I know the Maslow just fine. I reference the Maslow all the time.
Good. And so Maslow over Bloom, and especially at this time as leaders, you have to understand it has to be Maslow over Bloom, because you have to understand, you want your teachers to come out and you want them to do well, your staff members to come out and they want to do the job, and the work must be done. But the reality is, if you have a teacher who has to come to school, but that teacher doesn't know who is going to take care of his or her child, you are going to have a teacher at school who cannot give up their best, because the basic need of security for themselves, the security of their child, if those are not met, they cannot take care of the kids that are before them, because they are constantly going to be on their phone checking what is happening with their child, calling. So I think at this time, a lot of us as leaders, we have to check in, and we have to remember that, listen, has to be Maslow over Bloom. The job needs to be done, yes, but we want people to be alive, because if they're not alive, then the job can't be done. So
the job cannot be done. Now, you're a man of many talents, Mr. Thomas. You listed some of the talents out there, but you've also coached. You coached. Let me see here. You coach at Brownstone. You coach at Titchfield. What did you teach? What did you coach, first of all? I think cricket was one of them. What else did you coach? And how on earth did you find time to be coaching and juggling everything else that you have to juggle?
Well, I taught technical drawing. I did industrial arts. I focused on my concentration at Michael was electrical. I've never taught electrical. Never taught electrical. I've for most of my years I've taught technical drawing up to the Cape level. That was my passion. Essentially, and incidentally, the person who I said from high school who actually influenced us, he was our TD teacher also.
Okay.
So you see the impact of a teacher,
lasting impact.
the lasting impact of a teacher that a teacher can have on you. So
Wow.
and a lot of my friends who were actually in that same tech actually focused on technical drawing, and it was because of that same teacher.
That's it.
So I taught technical drawing, but I mean for the years, I mean you normally coach after school. So when I was at Brownstown High, that was more difficult because we were on shift. So when I'm on the afternoon shift, I would have training before school.
So you
Before
said it
my
was
shift
always
starts.
cricket. Did I hear you correctly? You said it was always cricket.
For coaching, yes, always
Okay.
cricket. I
Okay.
managed I managed football for a couple of years.
Okay.
Involved in the management when I was at Brownstown High, and I was a part of the management team when I was at Titchfield, being a part of the sports committee. But coaching cricket, I had up to a West Indies level 1 coaching certificate.
Nice.
Yeah, I was upset when I missed the opportunity to do the level 2. But so for my years at Titchfield, we actually we did well. I think we reached as far as Headley Cup semi-final one year where we played the mighty Homewood, which had 11 players who played national cricket, but we
I
did
can't.
well.
Don't even say Homewood. They're my arch
Yeah,
rivals and enemies. But I went
yeah,
to Manchester High. When it comes to
yeah,
V Cup,
yeah. So,
I can't stand them. They're
but
good,
but we did,
and for that reason, I can't stand them.
yeah, man. So we did well, and was happy because I managed to produce a couple national players, which was
Nice.
good. So yeah, so I mean that was good. And then for the Portland Cricket Association, I was involved in it at the executive level, and I coached the younger kids, the under 15 and the junior cup team, and I was involved in the management of the senior cup team. So so that was it as relates to cricket, and I was involved in
Regular
football, and I've
Renaissance.
always been involved. I mean, going to Michael and I was sports rep for Rogers, so once you go Michael, you play everything, even if you're not good. Even if you're not good, you play everything.
Yeah, true, true. Even though Rogers
Yeah,
are
man.
home with it, Rogers are home with the same basket than mine. But what you say,
Yeah, yeah,
tomato,
yeah.
tomato.
You know it go. You know it go. You see. We ensure that we had our thing, So when I was there, Saudi was our house captain, and so we
Right,
ensured that we groomed uh Andrew.
right,
And Andrew took, I groomed Ribo, so Ribo took over as sports rep from me. So the transition, so everything continued,
I
so the
just want to
success
say, all right.
continued.
So
So yeah,
I'm
we
just
know a lot of you guys never liked us because we were too good, but we know
I
it
just
go.
want to say, I want to say two things. Two things. The first thing is the coach usually stock Rogers. The coach stock Rogers with players that he knows. The only reason
I
I
don't know
was
what
in
you're
Rogers
talking
because he
about.
didn't know me as an athlete. I came through academically. Now, my year we won the Nathan Brissett. We won Sports Day. We won. I just want to say these things.
I'm waiting for you to say football and cricket, because I know you
No,
can't say that.
no, here's it. The football, we went to the finals, and it was actually me that lost the game on account of some mishap. But
But more than likely, Andrew was keeping, so you couldn't score.
Andrew was keeping, actually. Andrew was
So
keeping.
yeah, so we know. I mean, when I was there, we had a national under 17 player who was playing for our team. So
No, somebody asked if a coach Manchester United. Now, this person obviously know that you're
no,
an avid
wait.
Manchester United fan. This person must know
Trust
that
me,
you're
I
a
bleed.
United.
I bleed Manchester United red.
I concur.
Yes,
I'm from Manchester, from Mandeville,
yes,
so
yes, yes.
that we can agree
Avid
on.
fan. I don't know about the coaching part of it still, but I offer my advice. But Ole obviously not taking my advice, so we may have to fire him.
Yep, we can do that. We can do that. All right. Now let me see here. For some reason my laptop won't restart. Now, last year you won the Lasco Jamaica Council Leadership in the Pandemic Award for principals in Region 3. I hope I said that right. What is that award, and how does a principal actually go about winning that?
Martin, to be honest, I don't know. I was shocked. I was shocked when I got the email from JTC. How it was worded, it was that it was worded to suggest that a staff member was nominated.
Mhm.
So I messaged the person, I sent back, responded and said, who exactly? And the person said, oh, it's you. I said, okay. I mean, I
Okay.
tried to wrap my head as to who would have nominated me and check on. To this day, I don't know who nominated me.
Well, mind you, know,
But,
you
but
mentioned,
essentially, it's
you did mention the team you have. You did mention the team you had. From the way you spoke about them, it means that you have a mutual kind of respect for them, and they, I'm sure, can see that as well. So when you work with people that way, it's no real surprise, really, that they saw an opportunity to represent how they felt represented by you, and they reciprocated.
I don't know. I did some checks and it's sounding it. Well, I'm not even certain if it's internal or external the recommendation came from, but the recommendation came and it was based on the work. Because what LASCO did is that they and Jamaica Teaching Council, they awarded teachers and the principals who,
Mm-hmm.
since the pandemic started, would have gone above and beyond the call of duty to ensure whether for the principal, whether their schools did well, or ensure that they did what they had to do to ensure that their staff was working optimally, their students were reached. So I think those are some of the main criteria. But I think because to this day I haven't got the full information as to what was the requirements and
But
all
you
of that.
won.
I
The
just
rest is
know I just
semantics.
know I was awarded for Region 3, which
That's
is
all that matters.
Saint and Saint James and Trelawney, sorry. And I'm happy. Obviously it seemed as if
I'm happy
somebody
for.
thought that I
You won.
obviously
The
somebody
rest is
thought that
semantics. You won.
the work that I was doing and I was leading my team very well. So I thank
Yes,
them for the
I'm
for the
with
for
you.
the nomination and for the award.
I'm with you, sir. When you're right, you're right. Now, your mantra is build. You mentioned it earlier. Build your own dreams, or someone will hire you to build theirs. Why this mantra, and how has that helped you over the years?
It is simple. You have to do what you have to do. So you have to have your dreams, you have to have your aspirations. You have to ensure that whatever it is that you want, that you build on it. You can't sit down and expect to get handouts from persons. So you want so let's say, I mean, this person wants to become an engineer. You can't sit back and say, "Oh, I'm going to expect and wait on handouts. I'm going to expect them persons to come in and help me. And if persons don't come and help me, then I can't do it."
Right.
So if you want to be an engineer, you go to do what you need to do to ensure that you are an engineer. Because if you don't, there's somebody else who's going to be an engineer, and that engineer may hire you as a little layman because
Mhm.
you are afraid to go out and to be the best version of yourself and to be that engineer.
Mhm.
Somebody who did what they needed to do to become that engineer will then be the one who is going to hire you,
Yes.
or you are going to be the one who assists them in being an engineer because
Mhm.
you are scared and you are afraid to go out on a limb and to do what you needed to do. So, I mean, I've always stepped out. I've always taken on challenges and opportunities that come. As I said, networking is critical where I'm concerned. I've always networked. I see in the chat and I see some of my colleagues there. I mean, because the networking is critical, and so you have to ensure that you have persons out there. So um, that's a part of me building on my dream. So because I mean, I don't want, even though in our profession we still have to report to somebody else, but at least um, you are still building on your dream, and you're always building.
Mhm. And it's necessary. And the Michael said, go do it with your might. Go on, go do it
Si-
with your might, essentially.
Simple,
Go
simple.
out there, do it with your might. Don't let nobody stop you, let nobody stand in the way. Might. Do it, get it
Definitely,
done, figure it out.
definitely,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
All right. Now, before we move on, and mind you, the show I run a little long, but yeah, I'm talking to the principal. I'm in the principal office, and I'm not on detention for the record. So I'm just gonna write.
Definitely, you're being
I'm
a
just
good
gonna
student,
I'm just
Martin.
gonna enjoy this moment, not being on detention. You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna force the issue. But before we move on to the poetry reading section of the show, is there anything else you wanna share with the viewers before we make that step?
Um, Definitely. I mean, in anything that you need to do that you're doing, you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself. I remember when I my wife was doing her degree. She was on Irving Hall. And the first time I went over there, I looked at the entrance and there's the motto for Irving Hall. And it says, know thyself. And it resonated with me. I mean, you have to know what you're about. You have to know. Once you know yourself and what you know what you're about, then you're good. If you don't, then, I mean, every wind blows going to blow you into a different direction.
True.
So once you know yourself and you know what you're about, it will ensure that you keep focused. I mentioned earlier about your associations, who you have around you. I got a quote. I heard a quote a couple of years ago. It says, "Water finds its level." So my mother always tell me, "Show me a company," and I tell you, you are. If you're a leader, you have to center yourself around persons who are like-minded, who can push you. Not necessarily mean that you must always be around leaders, because you have to be around other persons who can teach you additional skills.
Right.
And so you always have to remember where you're coming from. Never forget the persons who were there with you at the start, and the persons. I mean, you still have to go. So even in me, as from where I'm as a principal, as a leader, I still go on the corner, I still go on the road and chat with my friends and something, because you still have to remain grounded. Not because you're a leader, that simply means that you're going to, I mean, shut off that side of you and you're not going to be yourself. So
it's funny you say that. The last two times we saw the last two times I saw you we were surrounded by professionals.
Yeah.
A few principals were there, a few education officers were there. They're all professionals. And anybody that saw us from the outside,
they would know.
They couldn't tell who we were. They couldn't tell who we were at all. Like, we were just there. We're chatting and laughing. We're dancing to whatever music playing. We're doing what everybody else is doing. But we are still who we are. We still do
when you're at work. When you're at work, you're at work. We were not at work.
Exactly.
So we were enjoying ourselves.
No, I concur.
Finally, Martin, and I can't leave out this part. This one. You have to love yourself.
Amen to that.
You have to love yourself. There are too many persons out there who don't love themselves, and who don't take care of themselves and ensure that they're self. I mean, it can be seen as selfish, but you have to take care of yourself. You can't expect that there are other persons who are going to take care of you. And if you think about, for those who have traveled and on a plane and they hear the air hostess, they tell you, put on your life jacket first.
Yes.
Because if you don't have if you are dead, you can't save anybody.
You can't save anybody else, even if you love one.
You have to, yeah, man. So you have to take care of yourself. So you have to first love yourself, because if you are empty, you can't pour anything in anybody's cup.
True that.
So take care of yourself, love yourself, know what you're about, and you would be good to go. Build on your dreams.
All right, that sounds good to me.
Don't go build anybody else's.
I hear you. I don't know why Craig Marshall I call out my full. Craig Marshall I call out my full government.
Because him late. He's saying that he's late. I don't know if he's traveling from Mobi.
But
he's saying late.
He's saying late. Entire government, the man I call out, man. Sure. All right.
Look, him don't call him Mr. President.
You see it. You see, I don't know. So may have people can go currently me about Chum and make it slide. No. We have to go speed the next part of the show. But like I said, the principal office, I'm not on detention, so I'm good. Now, first things first. On the Evening People show, we have to involve poetry one way or the other. And it's either poetry or dance. I mean, no, say you don't want dance. So
no. That not work.
What are you gonna read for the people today?
We have to stay current. I mean, when I look through the poems, I selected this one because of what is actually happening in our country. And this one actually touched a nerve based on what is happening out there.
Erica, why you dance?
No, Erica, I'm not going to dance. That's a colleague who wants me to dance. No, Erica, no dancing. So yeah, the poem that I selected is Toxic. And it's very, very applicable. Yeah, Toxic.
All right. I think I have Toxic. I'm gonna put up Toxic for them. And when you're ready, sir, you go for it.
So it says, ignoring the warning labels, cruising past the danger signs, distinguishing the obvious as fables, overtaking the double lines. The probability of bodily harm, falling prey to boy's charm. The invariable result, like being beaten to a pulp.
Yeah.
A deadly mixture brought about by two, fatal attraction that subdues. The end result not sought. The obvious
Don't
toxicity
worry, nobody
it
can say
brought.
that word, so you're good.
The lure of the familiar, the ease of the connect, the that which comes after, the unseen next step, the enticement of the challenge, the forbidden nature of its end, out of control with no desire to manage. So good must be a God sent. Harmful in its nature, harmless in its taste, hosting an inner creature, toxic is its
Is his
name.
name. I like Louis Bennett. Yes, you.
Yes, boss.
That one a shot. That
Yeah,
one a
man.
shot. No, toxic. Toxic is a poem. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. That's a really good choice. I like Toxic. I remember writing Toxic. Now, why did you choose Toxic? The poem, the book have a whole poem like. Why did you choose Toxic? And Erica look like she now go off I dance it. But well,
I see Barry trying to control her. I hope Barry will control her. Control her, Barry.
hold
Control
on,
her,
let's see.
Mr. RD. Control her.
Yeah, that's
Um,
some dancing
but
thing
but
at corner. Go
but
ahead. I'm sorry.
toxic, especially I listened to an audio on Facebook the other day, and I think it resonated sometime this week about a young lady who threw some form of liquid in her boyfriend's eye
Uh-huh.
and stabbed him in a dance because he was with a young lady. So
Wow.
you had that coupled with over the last couple of weeks, uh, ladies being found with their throats cut, murdered by their significant other. Um, so yeah, this one resonated especially because of the current things that are happening,
Mhm.
and especially because obviously those things would have come out of the fact that they're toxic relationships,
You're
and
in
there
a
were
dark.
warning signs there that persons did not pick up on. So I
Okay.
think this
All right, let's
one
do this.
is timely.
It's time. All right, let's do this. The first the if the entire poem was the first stanza of the poem, what would that one stanza poem tell us about the scenario being described? And what it says is ignoring the warning labels, cruising past danger signs, disguising the obvious as fables, overtaking and double line. If that was the entirety of the poem done right, that's up.
True.
What scenario would that describe for us?
Essentially, it's about, and it can be a male or a female, because and it's basically about abuse. You see in the different signs of what is going to happen, and you avoid them, and then you start blaming yourself that, oh, me caused it. Or for a female, it may be a man hit a female, and it may be, oh, because I said something, which is why that happened. So they started to blame themselves. The obvious are there that, hey, there are issues and there are possibilities for issues. But then you see all the danger. So overtaking on the double lines, you know that there's a danger out there. You don't know what is ahead of you. But you know that the fact that you overtake on a double line, it's a possibility for danger, but you continued nonetheless. So you disobeyed all the warning signs. You saw them. You
You living
disguised them.
dangerously. You living
Yeah,
dangerous like Bounty Killer
you're
and
living on the
Barrington Reed.
edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, check this out. Now, stanza two can be viewed as a bit cruel. Like the phraseology, the way it comes off can be viewed as a little cruel. There are perceivable there's a perceivable callousness about how the situation is presented. And it says the probability of bodily harm, falling prey to boyish charm, the invariable result, like being built to a pulp. It's almost like you are your fault and that you forget. You do this,
Yeah.
like you said in stanza one.
So you're blaming yourself. You're
Yes.
blaming
So
yourself.
no, is that how you viewed that stanza?
Yeah, yeah.
When you read it, and if not, what came to mind?
Yeah, definitely. So you saw the signs. You knew what was to come. You knew that there's a possibility that there's going to be some danger. Maybe you would have seen a few signs, but you avoided them. You pretended as if you never saw them because of the charm of the person. So if it's a male, if it's a female being abused, so to speak, because of the fact that, I mean, the man can wow you or he can do whatever, but at the end of it, he can go out and come back and he comes back with a gift.
True.
So the fact that maybe the day before he punched you in the eye, that is forgiven because the next day he comes back with a Pandora bracelet or an expensive watch, and you can glow. So you forget about the obvious danger and the bodily harm that you will get because of the benefits, or because this person is the breadwinner, and so you see yourself of, if you walk away, you may be living a particular lifestyle. How am I going to maintain this lifestyle? I mean, what are people going to think?
Right.
So because of that, you avoid all these warning signs, and you know that there may be harm, but you avoid it. And so the end result is, as it says, though gruesome, but it is the reality because it does happen. Person is beaten to a pulp.
Yeah. What Wazim's comment is consistent with what you're saying. We have one troublemaker in our class where I personally think if you go in our principal office for the wrong reason, him named Ricardo. And he must say,
Ricardo.
Ricardo,
Boy.
I apologize, Ricardo. He must say a toxicity challenge, because you see, everybody have jokes because them, when you can't type it with no problem, you know. I bet you can't say 3 times fast. Everybody will have you. You want to start the toxicity challenge?
That's Richie. No, that's Richie. I don't expect anything different from him. We're always at each other, so don't expect anything different.
I bet I dare you say 3 times. You don't even have to say 3 times fast. Just say 3
Just
times
try to do
anyhow
it
you
once.
want. I dare you. All right. But I see where we're going at. So let's do this. Let's look at stanza 3 and 4. We're gonna look at those together. And 3 and 4. Let's see what they say. A deadly mixture brought about by 2 fatal attraction that subdues the end result not sought. Obviously, that same word that it brought, the lure of the familiar, the ease of the connect, that which comes after, the unforeseen next step. Now, you're a veteran educator, you're a coach. Over the years, you've seen hundreds of boys become men and as many men become women. Tell us about some situations that you have observed that depicts the scenarios described here. How prevalent would you say they are?
As it relates to the toxicity part, I have seen it. I mean, I would have seen that, and I would have had to counsel some of my boys that hey, you need to take care of the young ladies. I mean, some of them see it as being, I mean, sir, me a man, me have to stand up, me can't make a girl diss me. And so we have had a lot of fights, especially I've had fights with boys and girls. And when you listen to it, it's because the boy thought that their masculinity was threatened, so to speak. So the girl dissed them, and to ensure so they keep their masculinity and them their how they are viewed by their friends. They have to stand up for themselves, and a lot of times they think of the option is that of abuse. And to be honest, I mean, sometimes some of the girls or the ladies do some things that, boy, if your head not screwed on right, and if you were not brought up a certain way,
they might dry out.
You're pushed to the limit. So we have to normally I have to advise them that, listen, we are, as we were created as the protectors of the females. So even sometimes they think that they don't need us. We all know they need us. Because there are some things that they can't do. And even though them fees them can't do it, they can't do it. And once, even if when you're not there, they'll try and do it. Once you're there, they're not going to do it. So they need us. So we have to think about, and you have to teach the young men that, listen, they're there for us. Because I remember a DJ saying, when you kill off all of the women, then what will happen? I won't fill in. People can fill in the blanks for that, for the rest of that. But we have to take it. We have to take care of them, and so you have to teach the young men that yes, the females, they're gonna draw us out. Naturally, they are going to at times do things to irritate us. It's in their nature. Yes, ladies, I know you're gonna come at me where that is concerned, but it's in their nature to irritate us, to draw us out, to do things that is going to make us annoyed. But I mean, we just have to keep our cool because I mean, we're there to protect them, so we can't be abusing them. We can't be hitting them. So,
All right.
so yeah, that's what I have to constantly teach them.
All right.
And I normally the thing that I normally end with, which normally hits a nerve, is especially when a young man is in a fight with a young lady. I said, and especially if it's something that is graphic, I would say to them, I mean, if they have a sister or if they have a mother, if they as a young man see somebody doing that to their sister or their mother, what would they do?
Right.
9 times out of, sir, I'm going to defend them and whatever. I said, okay, why? Because man no feel like woman and because I say, oh, but how did you? So then you use as a teaching moment.
Right.
So yeah, Richie, it's Baby Shab who actually said it. I know once person's filling the blanks, they would know where I'm heading. But yeah, you just have to guide them that listen, the females are going to tick us off. We're gonna get angry, but we have to control our anger. The result.
You have to identify those teaching moments too. You have to be able to
and grab them and make full use of them.
I was at a book signing at the Waterloo, the new Fontana Waterloo, and there was a young man there. Some of my friends came to get books, to get their book signed, and there was a young man there. He was lurking, you know. And one of my brethren was like, "What did I brother him on?" You know what I mean? But he was asking questions, and the questions he was asking, I was telling my friend, no. This man is actually trying to learn something from you. He's actually trying to get some direction from you. So instead of brushing him off or running away, use the opportunity to actually give him some direction, because what you say to him right here today in this moment may actually end up changing his life. You know what I mean? So we have to always be on the lookout, because remember, you know, especially if you're a driven person, you're always going to aspire for more. However, there's going to be somebody else that's going to see what you already have as their greatest dream, their wildest imagination. Even though what you have, you're looking at it like you have several more levels to go to, you know. What you have, for somebody else, it is their absolute wildest dream. So when you see them approach you and might probably ask something, you have to be able to identify the teaching moments and be able to, in a calm, still voice, say something to somebody that can actually help build them up.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. All right.
As much as you're angry or whatever, you still have to do that.
All right, so let's do this. Let's check out stanza 5. And stanza 5 says, the enticement of the challenge, forbidden nature of its end, out of control with no desire to manage, so good must be God sent. Now, they're describing a somewhat different situation. It's a still toxic situation, but it seems like it's a different situation. What comes to mind when you check out this stanza 5?
I mean, for some persons can consider or may consider a relationship to be a challenge or a competition. One trying to outdo the other. So in being toxic, I mean, maybe one trying to show dominance over the other, knowing that even if once you're trying to show this dominance and having this competition, rather than having companionship, you're having competition amongst both of you as to who is more dominant. It's gonna lead to a forbidden end. But because again, your emotions and your feelings are so out of control, and maybe you think that, oh, I'm so in love with this person, or maybe you're in love with what the person can offer you, right? Whether it is material or whatever, or security. So you think that, oh, this person is God sent. This person is here to take me out of whatever issues that I'm having. So you look past all of that because you're saying, oh, yes, this is the man or the woman of my dreams, even though you realize and you saw the signs that the end is going to be forbidden, but you mask all of that because you're out of control. Emotions take over, and so emotions take over and is way ahead of common sense.
It goes so. All right, Richard, man, I hear you still. I'm glad you like the show. Because you're bridging them on the show, make you like the show. If it make sure say you like and subscribe to things, they get all of the show them and about the foolishness. Anyways,
But
um,
Martin,
yep,
as
talk.
Richard mentioned, with Richard still, you know, he is a um professed in quote unquote bald Rastaman.
Really now.
So yeah, man, bald Rastaman who
Now
eat
look one
pork,
thing on the show, you know, I forgot to
but
link him.
that's for another story. The eat pork
Yeah,
part of it and the Rastaman is for another story. But yeah, so he would like this one because I want to touch a piece of this one. I know we're wrapping up, Martin, but I need to touch a piece of this one.
talk to me.
And this one, as I said, Richie would like this because it's from the section of one of your book called The Chronicles of a Rasta.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe because he professes to be a Rasta or he thinks
Give
mentally
me
that
back
he's a
here.
Rasta,
Give me back
then
here. Back here what going on.
yeah, and I'm also using the first two stanzas of this one, especially because of my wife is online and I know a lot of your female viewers are online. So maybe they can, and the guys are here too, so maybe they can identify with it. So
Praises
it
be.
says,
Wait,
it says,
which one I get them? Hold on, back here. Which one I get them piece of? Just so I
day
know.
one, day one, day one, day
Day one.
one,
Give them a piece of day one there.
yeah
And
one.
people, if you don't have the book or start out the thing, a joke around me. Give them a piece of day one
Yeah,
there
man.
for
So
me.
Martin, I was going to give them two little stanzas. So you have
Give
to
them it.
tell them where they can find it so that they can
Fold me
buy it
and
and then get the
give
rest
them
of it.
it. Give them it.
So the day one says, she came adorned in rings and things. Don't remember the Red Bull, but felt like I had wings.
Nice.
Covered from head to toe, yet her radiance still showed. Her smile goes on for days. Her eyes could light up a stage. Sensitive to the touch, kind words make her blush. I leave it right there. I leave it right there. I leave it right there.
Yo, yeah, yes.
Martin, you can tell them where to go and find the rest of it. The rest of it is up to you,
It's so
Martin.
funny. Because here the thing, you see, it's so funny. Sometimes when I like in situation like we randomly grab a poem and read it, and it's like I don't remember that particular one at the particular moment, but you realize, say, yo, the bad my youth, that bad make we put so shot in here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I want to, but I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you. See somebody that talk about lyrics and you don't know those lyrics yet. We don't know lyrics yet. We have lyrics
Big
for
up,
days.
big up yourself, Hansen.
Yeah, but pick up yourself. Mr. Hold on, the wife. I claim a truth on
Yes,
behalf of the,
yes, Mrs. T. Lyrics, Mrs. T. Lyrics.
Yeah, man. You say, yo, we're going to do. We'll jump off. We're going to carry back on the show next time and we dissect the next one day. But, sir, it was good seeing you. It was good having you on the show. Nice vibes.
Always, Martin, always.
Nice vibes. All right, my brother, here we're going to link. So just go and take care of yourself until them times.
Yeah, man, we'll talk. And to everybody who tuned in, be safe, people. Forget about what you hear all over the place. Corona is real. Corona is real.
Yep.
And it hit close to home the other day when we lost a friend, a colleague, a brother, one of my classmates from Michael, Orlando Perry.
Yes, sir.
He was an education officer and he died from complications of corona. So it's real. People talking a lot of things. Go research for yourself. The big question is to vaccine or not to vaccine. That's a personal choice. Weigh the pros and cons. Do what you need to do, but remain safe. Sanitize. Mask up. I mean, we know we're gonna be on a lockdown for the next couple of weeks. I mean, it is what it is. Some of us may not agree with it, but the reality is the law of the land. It's the law, and so we have to abide by the law. So, do what we have to do. Sort out ourselves. Ensure that, I mean, use it as an opportunity for those who have not locked down with your family for a while to bond. Make full use of it. It may be difficult for some people based on their living circumstances, but hey, it's not gonna be forever. And yeah, just deal with it. Just be safe. Do what you need to do. Mask up, sanitize up, and be safe. And remember, love yourself, and nobody will ever love you more than how you love yourself.
All right.
Bless up, Martin.
You don't know. You heard it from the principal himself. Take care of yourself. See you here, sir.
Respect, my boss. Respect.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. That's the ball game. Yeah, but like I throwing a piece upon them and I last off. Me never see that coming. Them never see that coming. The man come mix it. It might come mix it tune in at the end there. But folks, we really run long. If you've never checked out the Evening People Show before, if you're checking in via YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like the thing. Set up your notifications so that the next time we go live with the next guest, you can be a part of it. If you're watching from the Chronicles of a Black Man, stay tuned to that. Make sure you set your notifications so you know. And if you're watching any version of the shared videos, just check it out. This is what we do here on the Even People Show. We just have real people. We talk about real things. You know what I mean? And before I jump off, you know what I mean? I'm gonna start exactly where I'm gonna end exactly where I started, you know. I started playing this tune here named Blessed. Damon Marley alongside Wizkid. You know what I mean? And whether it's your first time or not, you know, so when it's time to go, no warning. We just drop it.